When looking at fast food menus nationally, here are the average prices for fries from McDonald's, a Happy Meal, and a burger combo from Burger King. But I paid even more than that. Here are the prices at fast food locations by the NBC offices in Midtown Manhattan.
The era of the $5 footlong is dead and buried, and what replaced it is actually a bit scary for the average consumer. Most people are waking up to the fact that their daily coffee or sandwich habit is now costing them more than a monthly car payment.
I would consider the $5 menu sort of chapter one of a multi-chapter value playbook.
I'm not going to lie, the price jumps at these 7 chains have become a national joke, but the punchline is hurting everyone's bank account. There is a specific moment when the price no longer matches the product, and that day has finally arrived for the biggest names in the business. The Mac inflation scandal. The price of a burger used to be something people could count on, but those days are long gone in the current economy. McDonald's was once the king of the cheap lunch, but by 2026, that crown has completely rusted away. A combo meal now regularly lands between $9 and $12 in most states across the country. In some high-price markets like Connecticut or California, a quarter-pounder meal actually hits $14. A family of 4 spending $50 at McDonald's became a normal Tuesday afternoon occurrence. That is not cheaper than sitting down at a real restaurant anymore. That is Applebee's money, Chili's money, or even Texas Roadhouse lunch special money. Customers did not just get mad and leave, they started doing the math in their heads. For $12, sit-down chains offered more food, better service, and an actual place to sit that did not feel like a plastic box. A waiter refills drinks for free, which is a big deal when a large soda at a drive-thru now costs $3. There are appetizers that cost less than a medium order of fries. The McDonald's visit stopped being an automatic choice for hungry people. It became a comparison, and comparisons always eliminate the feeling of convenience. The drive-thru lines got shorter because the wait was no longer worth the cost. Lunch rushes became less rushed as people looked for other ways to fill their stomachs. Parking lots that used to overflow at dinner time started having empty spaces right in the front row. Instead of hitting the golden arches, people started choosing grocery store hot meals or local burger spots with actual seating. Some customers even started cooking simple meals at home again because it was the only way to save $20. Rotisserie chickens for $8 can feed a whole family, while a single meal at McDonald's barely feeds one person. For $12, the alternatives offered experiences that felt like they were actually worth the cash. When your entire brand is built on being the cheap option, losing that price advantage means you lose your reason to exist. McDonald's was not competing with Burger King anymore. It was competing with actual restaurants and losing the battle every single day. There is a wild theory that the company actually wants to get rid of low-income customers to make their stores easier to manage. If they have fewer customers paying more money, they can hire fewer workers and deal with less stress. But this plan is backfiring as the middle class starts to walk away too. People are realizing that the convenience of a drive-thru is not worth a 30% price hike. The math of the American lunch has changed, and the biggest player in the game is the one getting hit the hardest. Things get even crazier when you look at how other sandwich shops are trying to hide their price hikes from the public. The customization upcharge scandal. The sandwich giant built its entire identity on letting customers build their own perfect lunch. Customization was supposed to mean value, but by 2026 it became a pricing weapon used against the hungry. A foot-long combo now costs between $12 and $15 at most locations. But here is the real trap that customers are falling into every day. Extra meat now costs $3, and adding bacon adds another $2 to the bill. Premium cheese is $1.50, and adding a little bit of avocado is another $2. Double meat pushes the total to $18 for a single sandwich that is mostly bread. The menu board started looking different, with prices listed with stars and tiny text that was hard to read. Base prices were listed, but almost nobody actually paid those low amounts after adding a few toppings. Customers stood at the counter doing mental math while the line backed up behind them. People stopped building big sandwiches and started ordering plain items just to save a few bucks. They skipped the extras and stopped buying the cookies or the drinks. Many people switched from footlongs to 6-inch subs just to avoid the upcharge spiral that happens at the register. Regular customers who used to get the same order every week started ordering differently or stopped coming in at all. The bacon got dropped from the order and the extra cheese disappeared to keep the price under $10. Subway's traffic declined while competitors with simpler menus stayed steady. Instead of Subway, customers moved toward grocery deli counters where they could see the meat being weighed. Local sandwich shops where extras are often included became more popular than the big chain. Gas station sandwiches started looking like a reasonable choice because they cost $6 total. Walmart and Target started offering footlong alternatives for $7 with all the toppings already included. When customization becomes a way to trick people into paying more, they simply stop playing the game. Chipotle faced a similar problem, but their issue was about more than just the price on the board. They built a brand on fresh food in big portions, but that trust is now completely broken. By 2026, a burrito bowl costs $11 to $14, but the amount of food you get is a total mystery. Customers started filming their orders on their phones because portion sizes changed depending on who was working. The same bowl ordered at lunch looked twice as big as one ordered at dinner. The promise of a big meal became a lottery that most people were losing. Social media is now filled with videos of people showing tiny scoops of chicken next to a normal serving. The brand that was once the most trusted in fast food became known for giving people anxiety at the counter. People stopped trusting the line and started requesting to see the scoop before it went into the bowl. The whole transaction became angry and stressful for both the worker and the customer. Why pay $14 when you might get half the food you got last week? Instead of Chipotle, people chose local Mexican spots with consistent portions and lower prices. Taco shops with set menu items removed the guessing game entirely for hungry families. It has been missing for years, but this key detail about portion sizes can shock even the most loyal fans. The expensive paper bag scandal. Some chains tried to act like they were fancy, even though they still had peanut shells on the floor and no waiters. Five Guys built its name on better ingredients that were supposedly worth the extra cost. They offered hand-cut fries and fresh beef patties with all the toppings you could want for free. But by 2026, a bacon cheeseburger meal costs between $20 and $25. In major cities like New York or Chicago, that same meal reaches $30. That is not fast food pricing. That is the price of a fancy dinner at a place with cloth napkins. There are no plates, no servers, and no atmosphere, just a very expensive burger sitting in a greasy paper bag. The math stopped working for everyone except the very wealthy. A family of four spending $80 to $100 at Five Guys realized they could eat at a real restaurant for less. They could go to Red Robin or a local gastropub and have a better time for the same amount of money. The Cajun fries used to feel like a big bonus, but now they feel like the only thing justifying the huge bill. Visit frequency collapsed as former regulars became people who only visited once a year. The parking lots told the story better than any news report could. Customers started asking why they were paying restaurant prices to stand at a counter and wait. Instead of Five Guys, people chose local burger joints with better seating and actual plates. Gastropubs started serving craft burgers at similar prices, but with a full bar and a TV to watch the game. Premium fast food only works when it is cheaper than a real restaurant, but Five Guys forgot that rule. The paper bag is no longer a cute brand choice. It is proof that you are paying too much for too little. Starbucks ran into a similar wall when they tried to turn a morning coffee into a luxury tax. A basic latte now costs $6, and specialty drinks can easily go over $8. Seasonal favorites that people love can hit $10 after tax and a tip. That adds up to $40 or $50 per week for a daily coffee habit. That is over $200 a month just for caffeine and sugar. Credit card statements showed Starbucks as a top spending category right next to the rent and groceries. People started realizing their coffee costs more than their phone bill or their gym membership. They stopped going every day and switched to making coffee at home. The morning Starbucks run became a twice-a-week treat instead of a daily ritual. Drive-through lines that used to wrap around the building are now much shorter in the mornings. Mobile order shelves are often empty because people are brewing their own espresso in their kitchens. Instead of Starbucks, people are buying high-quality beans and doing it themselves for 50 cents a cup. Everything's changing because a daily habit becomes a luxury expense that most people simply cannot afford anymore. Popeye's slow service trapple. The final way a business fails is when it stops respecting the customer's time while also taking more of their money. Popeyes was built on bold flavors and chicken that was served fast to people on their lunch breaks. The chicken sandwich launch a few years ago was a massive success that had people waiting for hours. But by 2026, the magic has faded and only the high prices remain. A three-piece meal now costs $12 to $15, and the sandwich alone is $7. Family meals that used to be $20 are now $35 or $40. But the real problem was that the wait times grew to 20 minutes or more at almost every location. Order accuracy dropped as workers struggled to keep up with the complicated menu. Missing biscuits and wrong sauces became a common complaint on every review site. The fast part of fast food completely disappeared while the prices kept climbing higher. Customers started calculating the price they were paying per minute of waiting. A $12 meal that takes 20 minutes to get is a bad deal no matter how good the chicken tastes. People sat in their cars watching the clock and watching their limited lunch break vanish into thin air. The signature items lost their appeal when they were paired with long waits and a high chance of the order being wrong. Instead of Popeyes, people started going to the grocery store deli for fried chicken that was ready right then. Supermarket chicken for $6 became the better choice compared to the $12 wait at Popeyes. KFC even won back some customers because their wait times were shorter despite having similar prices. High prices can work if the experience is great, but slow service makes a high price feel like a slap in the face. Panera Bread had a similar identity crisis when they forgot they were a sandwich shop and not a French bistro. A soup and sandwich combo now costs between $15 and $19. A salad with a little bit of chicken costs $17, and a family meal hits $70. That is full-service restaurant pricing for a place where you still have to get your own water. Customers paying $18 for a sandwich were annoyed that they had to bust their own tables and fill their own drinks. The disconnect between the price and the service became impossible to ignore for most people. They stopped viewing it as a healthy middle option and started seeing it as a ripoff. Regular weekday lunch customers who worked in offices nearby simply stopped showing up. They chose actual restaurants with table service or stayed in the office and ate a salad from the grocery store. You cannot charge $20 for a lunch and expect people to clean up after themselves. Panera tried to have high prices and low service, and they lost customers on both sides of the fence. All 7 of these chains made the same mistake by raising prices like they were luxury brands. But they still act like basic utilities that people use out of necessity. When a utility gets too expensive, people do not just pay it, they find a way to live without it. These changes did not happen overnight, but they are here to stay as people find new ways to eat. The thing is, many of us are wondering if these companies will ever realize that they are pricing themselves out of existence. Is the era of the cheap American meal gone forever, or are we just waiting for a new chain to take their place? What is the most you would ever pay for a fast food burger before you walked away forever? Let me know in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe for more stories like this.